If you want to get a personal line of credit with no income, here are the steps I want you to follow right now. The very first thing you need to do here is to review your credit. See, the whole thing here is that having no income doesn't mean that your chances of getting a personal line of credit are limited. No, you do have a lot of chances. But everything starts with you reviewing your credit. So where you at right now, boss? Talk to me. Son, daughter, I want to talk to you. I want to have a conversation with you about your credit score. Do you even have an idea about where you stand right now on the credit spectrum? This is important. So I want you to go right now to a website called annualcreditreport.com to see if you have any negative marks that could hurt your chances of qualifying. And the thing is that check your credit score often, like regularly, like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or every month, to make sure that you meet the lender requirements. The thing is that annualcreditreport.com actually gives you a chance to check your credit report and score once a year. But there are a lot of services out there that allow you to check your credit score freely throughout the year. And we advise all our viewers to actually check their credit score as regularly as possible. People say, well, there's a lot of time. I don't have time. Listen. It takes 2 minutes. It takes 1 minute to just log into a website and check your credit score. Maximum 5 minutes to check your report to see if there are any issues. Okay, so this is important. Don't you give me the whole excuse of I ain't got no time. No. If you go to Credit Karma, if you go to Nerd Wallet, if you go to Wallet Hub, there are a lot of players out there. If you want a whole list of players who provide free credit score access, we'll give that to you. But it takes 5 minutes maximum. Okay, so check your credit score often. Very important. The second thing I want you to do is to research the lenders. So you're looking for a personal line of credit with no income. Okay, you got to be strategic here. See, credit is a game. I keep telling you, credit is a game, and you got to be a better player here. So banks, credit unions, and some online lenders typically offer personal lines of credit with no income. So do some research to see which ones have the most competitive rates and which ones you are most likely to qualify for. It's really important to make sure that you cast a wider net first, and then you zero in on the specific lenders who will be more amenable to you. Very important. The third thing I want you to do here is to, by the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to always have you here. We're having a little convo about how to get a personal line of credit with no income. Okay, so the third thing I want you to do is to pre-qualify and compare quotes. So the thing is, if you have no income, I keep telling you, it's not actually a reason for denial. Not at all. Okay, be smart, boss. Be smart, be strategic. So some lenders provide tailored offers based on some basic information and a soft credit check that doesn't impact your credit score. Because here we are trying to protect your credit score, so we're trying to preserve it. So you want to go for a soft pull first. So look for a personal line of credit with no income, with the lowest annual percentage rate, and a draw and a repayment schedule that fits your budget. Simply because you have no income doesn't mean you don't have a budget. You're probably living right now. You eating, right? I mean, you're sleeping somewhere, right? So you do have some money coming in. Maybe not a lot, but you do have some money coming in. So you have a budget. Whether you have formalized the whole budget thing or you haven't, you still have a budget. So what you do here is that after actually pre-qualifying and comparing quotes, I will speak about those lenders later on, but because there are a lot of lenders. You have PNC, you have KeyBank, you have Truist, you have Fifth Third Bank, you have BMO, you have a lot of players that actually provide personal lines of credit with no income, and they will pre-qualify you, as long as this is really important, as long as you have a relationship with them. Okay, so for example, if you want to pre-qualify for a personal line of credit with no income at Fifth Third, make sure you have a pre-existing relationship with Fifth Third. So after pre-qualifying and comparing quotes, you want to select an offer and fill out your application. And then you just wait. And then you want to upload verifying documentation. So most lenders will require you to upload paperwork such as tax returns, pay stubs, W-2s, and proof of address. If you don't have a job, if you don't have income, it's still okay. You can provide, you can actually upload your tax returns. You can provide things like, if you have income coming from gigs, like 1099s, for example, from Uber, Lyft, or other places where you derive revenue. Okay, or if you have, let's say, you're getting spousal support, child support, and whatnot, you have to provide the documentation that explains where your money is coming from. So after you've done that, you just have to wait for approval. See, the thing is that the lender may take anywhere from one business day to a week or more to approve your application. This is why, before signing any final paperwork, pay close attention to your interest rate, any draw minimums, and repayment schedule. And this is why we always tell folks to actually apply at a branch. If you're looking for a personal line of credit with no income and don't apply online, your ass will be denied real quick. Don't apply online. Okay, because online they will ask you for, let's say, W-2s, pay stubs, and if you have no income, chances are you don't have those documentation, you don't have that paperwork. So you're going to upload something that will disqualify you in the first place. So it's very important to apply at a branch if you have no income. I want to repeat this. If you have no income, you are looking for a personal line of credit, do not apply over the phone. Do not apply online. You have to go to a branch. You need to start a conversation. You need to start a conversation before you even apply. You want to inquire whether it is possible first. You want to inquire about the conditions. It is possible. We're here to tell you, we've been doing this for 35 years. It is possible. Been there, done that myself. Been there, done that myself. So it is possible, but you have to be willing to start a conversation. Those bankers, they want to talk to you. Those bankers, don't think of them as strangers. No, they're here to help. They're here to help you out. Maybe what you're looking for a line of credit of, let's say, maximum limit of $10,000 or $25,000. They'll give you maybe $7,000. Maybe they give you $10,000, but it is possible. You might not get the whole amount that you're looking for. You might not get the lowest APR possible on the market. You might not get the best repayment schedule and the best conditions for the draw period, but you'll get something. It only happens if you have a conversation. It only happens if you go to a branch, sit down with the branch manager or a branch deputy manager or anybody else at the branch and explain your situation. Here is the approach I really want you to really have right now, because I'm giving you a formula for success. If you're looking for a personal loan, a personal line of credit with no income. By the way, I want to quickly remind you to this topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a personal line of credit with no income real fast. And you want to get a large amount, by the way. So the question is, where do you get a personal line of credit? Where do you get it? Well, you have to understand, when we talk about personal lines of credit, you have actually 2 places or 3 places where you usually get them. Okay, historically, you get them from traditional financial institutions. I'm talking about banks, credit unions. There are also, in the last few years, we have been seeing a series of select online lenders who are interested in the whole personal line of credit game. Okay, so they'll also give you they give you money. Okay, so money. Let me ask you, what is your financial situation? What is your monetary situation right now? Do you have any income coming in? Because you have no income, assuming you don't have a job. But do you have anything coming in, any cash inflow from, let's say, a court decision, spousal support, or you are a beneficiary of a trust or anything? What is your money coming from? Because are you living with your parents, or are you living with a relative? The thing is that the lender is going to ask you anyway. You gotta really talk about your cash position if you want to be approved for a personal line of credit with no income. This is really important, okay? And it's really important to also understand that, going back to what I said about a relationship, you gotta have a relationship. It could be worth checking with your current bank first, because they may offer incentives such as interest rate discounts to a current banking customer, right? Okay, so however, I'm saying you don't have to stick with your current bank, but it is really helpful to start there. You want to start where they already know you. You want to start where they already have seen your cash inflows and cash outflows, where they have a history of your transactions over the last, say, 6 months, 1 year, 6 years, 10 years, or whatnot. Let me give you an overview to really contextualize today's conversation so we are clear, we are on the same page here. How does a personal line of credit really work? I mean, maybe you have experience, but I really want to dig a little deeper so you have a clear understanding. So when you qualify for a personal line of credit, you'll have access to a credit line that you can draw on as needed instead of a lump sum amount like you would with a personal loan, right? Think of it as a credit. It's kind of similar to a credit card. So you are allowed to borrow funds during a certain period of time, and that period is called your draw period. And the cool thing here is that you are not expected to repay your balance during the draw period. However, any funds that you pay back are available to borrow again as long as your draw period has not come to an end. And once your draw period ends, you will enter a repayment period during which you will pay back both principal and interest. So hopefully by the time you reach your repayment period, your financial situation would have improved way, a lot more. You probably would have had maybe a job or have a side gig or 2 side gigs or several side gigs that provided in aggregate enough income to support the repayment period. Okay. You have to know that interest only accrues on the amounts that you withdraw, not the full credit line. So when it comes to repaying your personal line of credit, you might encounter 3 approaches. So you have a draw period and repayment period. So that's the first approach, right? And so with this method, you make minimum payments during your draw period and enter full repayment when your draw period ends. So this is actually the most common loan structure, especially if you have no income. The lender will want you to actually have a little payments in between. Okay, this is really important. And that's option number 1. Then you have balloon payments. So what will happen here is that some lenders will ask you to pay back a large amount all at once at the end of your draw period. And but it depends on your application and what the lender feels you can afford. And the third option is what the lenders call a demand line of credit. So basically, here the lender will ask you for a full repayment at any time that your line of credit is open. So this type of structure is rare, but worth keeping an eye out for. It's really important, okay? Now let me give you a few pro tips so you have a clear idea when you are trying to get a personal line of credit with no income. By the way, I want to remind you again of today's topic, and because there are people who actually catch up on us as we already started the show. And I want to say that we're speaking about how to get a personal line of credit with no income on a large amount real fast. I want to really do a quick compare and contrast between personal line of credit and personal loan. The reason is that maybe you wanted to get a personal line of credit, but what you really need is a personal loan. Okay, so maybe you want to go back to the origins, so to speak, and clarify the kind of credit products you need in the first place. So when we talk about personal line of credit versus personal loan, we're speaking about 2 different products. The one is a revolving product, credit products. The second one is an installment credit product. Okay, so both personal lines of credit and personal loans are financing methods you can use for almost any legal personal expense, including home renovations, debt consolidation, medical bills, weddings, and other large costs. So they are both usually unsecured, meaning you don't need to put up any collateral to borrow one. Very important to remember that. However, a personal line of credit involves borrowing funds on an as needed basis during a certain period of time, known as your draw period. I just explained that. So the draw period is really important to have. You need to have a clear idea about that. Now, a line of credit usually comes with a variable interest rate that can fluctuate based on larger economic conditions. You only owe interest on the amount you draw. A personal loan, on the other hand, provides a lump sum amount upfront. So basically, you get your cash upfront, and what will happen here is that after receiving your funds, you will pay off the loan with fixed monthly payments over a set period of time. And personal loans typically have fixed interest rates that stay the same over the life of the loan. However, you will owe interest on the full loan amount. Okay, so when you think about it, personal lines of credit offer more flexibility, allowing you to decide how much of your limits you need to use. Personal loans, however, may be preferable if you have fixed project costs and you want to budget for a monthly payment that will not change over time. So it really depends on the situation that is better for you. Now, if you have no income right now and you need a personal line of credit, maybe you need a cash for emergencies, or you need cash for, I would say, projects, or you need cash for something else. But you got to be aware of, you need to be cognizant of this dichotomy here, of the contradiction between a personal line of credit and personal loan. And once you are sure, go ahead and get the line of credit. Here is a bonus for you. If you have been actually listening to us for the last 10-15 minutes, I want to really reward you by actually going a little deeper, by growing more granular here and explaining to you the pros and cons of personal lines of credit with no income or with income. Okay, and this will help you actually sort of finalize the decision as to whether or not this is the right time in your life, in your monetary life, to get a personal line of credit. So when we talk about personal line of credit, here are the pros. You have access to funds when you need them. So instead of getting a lump sum upfront as you would with a traditional loan, a line of credit lets you withdraw money as needed. You only pay interest on the amount you borrow, right? So you only pay interest on withdrawals. Any remaining amounts will not accrue interest charges, kind of similar to a credit card. So if you don't charge anything on the credit card, you're not paying interest, at least normally. Okay, we know there are exceptions, but yeah. And interest rates may be lower than credit cards. So depending on your credit, you get a rate that is lower than what you see on most credit cards. And you also have flexible repayment options. So with the line of credit, you can make minimum payments during your draw period and full interest and principal payments once your draw period ends. So this is basically a list of, obviously this is not an exhaustive list of pros that are attached to personal lines of credit, but again, you have a gist here. What about the cons? You have potential fees. So some lenders will charge you monthly or annual maintenance fees to keep a line of credit open, which can increase your borrowing cost. Some will even charge you a draw fee. You have variable rates may increase over time. So since most personal lines of credit have variable rates, your cost may increase. So unlike a personal loan, you will not have a fixed monthly payments you can work into your budget. So this could be a little disruptive to your budget, depending on how you actually approach the whole budgeting issue. And it can be tough to qualify, especially if you have no income. Sometimes it can be really tough to qualify. Lenders typically have more stringent qualification requirements compared to other financing methods like credit cards. And there is a temptation to overborrow. So with thousands of dollars at your fingertips, you might be tempted to withdraw more than you need. So withdrawing too much could lead you to burdensome debt that's difficult to pay off, especially if you already are in a precarious situation of having no income. So be very careful as to how you manage your personal line of credit. It is money that is available to you. If you're approved, it is money the lender has put at your disposal, but it's not your money. It ain't your money. Okay, it is debt. So be very careful when you tap and how you tap into that debt, how much you tap into the debt for. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to actually get a personal line of credit with no income. So I give you the steps. We talk about the approach, the overview, the pro tips, and now I'll give you also the bonus that you need to have, the pros and cons. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.